Hi guys. Okay, so I am recording my career profile and I chose child and family social worker. So there's a couple reasons that I chose to do this as my career profile. So just a little background real fast. My husband was actually in the foster care system and was adopted. And so I thought it would be really interesting and fun to learn about like the social workers that helped him during that time. Okay, so the example organization that I chose was actually DSHS of Washington with the Puyallup sector. And so the website is just dshs.wa, which is Washington, / Puyallup. And it is downtown Puyallup, so if any of you actually know Puyallup, that's in a completely different area of our town. And I didn't find a career contact that I could put down. They did have a list of different areas within DSHS that you could chat, but they just said go ahead and call, and then they would direct you to who you were looking for. They did something to kind of note with this too, is that they did have open interview times for social workers set specifically, and that was on their website, and I think it was on Thursdays from 8 to 2 every single week. Okay, so the next part, working environment. So the typical work hours for this particular agency was 8 to 5, which is a typical work day, Monday through Friday. It is a larger organization just because it falls under DSHS, which is obviously a nationwide thing. You are pretty independent in this job because you're out in the community talking with families and children, and you're working with therapists, and you're producing presentations for hearings and for specific cases. So you're actually kind of on your own on this one, and then you do go into the office. You can work from the office, but more often than not, you're going to be out in the community working with the people that you have been assigned to. So typical stressors for this job, I feel like there's probably more with this job than most, just because you're working with families, and families can always have a little bit of trauma associated with them. So you're working with biological parents or guardians who have a variety of issues, who may or may not like you being there. So that's the first stressor, is their attitude towards you and their willingness to work with you. Another stressor could include the placement of the foster child into either the foster care system, or where they're transitioning back from foster care into a biological family or guardian's home. Another stressor is the court trials and hearings. So you're required to go to those things that involve the cases that you've been given, and more often than not, you actually have to present on them. So you have to be prepared, and that can be a very stressful thing. The next stressor that I was thinking as I was reading was just like the checkups. So not only do you have a case with these families, and are you making decisions like, are they going to go into foster care? Are they transitioning back out of foster care? But you also have to check in with them. So that's another added stress every however often, whether it's 3 months, 2 weeks, 6 months, depending on the family. And then travel time. Since you are independently working out in the community, you may have to travel great distances in the day to get to all of your checkpoints with your cases. So that could be another stressor as well, particularly in Washington where traffic's really bad. Okay, so typical benefits, healthcare, medical, vision, dental is usually included in your salary, and then you have flexible spending accounts, disability insurance, so short-term and long-term disability, life insurance options, and 401k. Common job tasks. So I took a quote because I thought it summed it up completely well with what social workers and the child and family social workers are doing. So social workers who work in a foster care system help children who have been mentally or physically abused and displaced from their homes or abandoned. So you're going to be finding permanent and safe homes for these kids in the foster care system. You're assessing and intervening in potentially dangerous situations for children. You're going to be working with the children and their families, parents, schools, and therapists, as well as documenting, preparing, and presenting cases in court. Educational requirements. So this one is kind of interesting. So to be a social worker, you just need a bachelor's degree. However, with child and family social work, you do need That's not true. So you do need some extra education depending on what you're actually doing within the field. So for example, some places may say, okay, you just need a bachelor's degree and then a year of experience and then you can work for our agency. Some agencies will only take you if you have a master's degree. Some agencies want you to have a bachelor's degree, but then they're willing to give you some endorsements and things to get you up to code with what their agency is looking for in terms of education. So it kind of just depends on where you're at. This particular the requirements for this particular agency are that of a bachelor's degree with at least a year of experience or going right into work with a master's degree. Starting salary ranges from $42,000 to $45,000 a year, where when you've become experienced, you're ranging from $48,000 to $55,000. The mean kind of salary for these workers in Washington State is about $48,250 a year. Miscellaneous career information. So you do need to have knowledge of child welfare for this job because that's sort of what you're doing. And you also need to have really good personal relationship skills. You are working with a variety of people in a variety of situations and in a variety of age groups and demographics. So you need to be able to handle yourself well in all of those situations with all of those types of people. And then you also need strong verbal and written skills as you're going to be presenting and writing case reports and presenting in court. And then I used a variety of information sources from the internet, and I will have that in my link for you guys to see. Thanks so much, and I hope you learned something from my presentation.